Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay. This time it's going to be a best of 3 against Joce, or Joyce. I'll go with Joyce. Joyce is from the clan DShark. I believe it is a French team. I'm not 100% sure. I know this is on the EU server, and since it's a best of 3, we get to do the weird colors. And we also have from clan Dairy. It's spelled like fairy, but it's got a D at the start, so I go with dairy on that one. But this is Todes, previously Lava Todes, who I believe was in Grandmasters at the time when I cast him in the back, but this is a new season, and so he's still in Masters right now, but it's like top 10 or something like that, so skill level is still totally there. This is going to be a banging game, because Joce has also been in Grandmasters, I believe, currently also in Masters, so this is going to be banging. I hope this is from a clan battle, but I'm not 100% sure. DShark is such a cool name for a clan, and I don't know if it's like, because it's in French that it means something differently, or like it flows off the tongue a little bit more and makes more sense. Regardless, it's a badass imagery, which is, the DShark. We got Zerg versus Terran, which is also kind of badass when you think about all the different matchups. It looks like Todes is going to be going for a hatch first. He's got almost the 300 minerals. He's got his drone down on the low ground. This is Red City. I don't know how familiar you are with the map, but basically both players didn't get very good spawn locations. It means that they're going to be expanding towards each other, with the exception of their natural. The natural is still kind of cubby-holed back there. You've got this weird little high ground with the ramp leading up to it. It's a great place to hide your Overlord. However, it's really easy to get your Marines up there and actually crush them. Todes has actually guessed correctly with his Overlord. He's going to get within vision of these two structures and then just immediately whip around, because he does not want Joce to see that his Overlord is coming from that direction. Oh my goodness, it's just barely within range. I don't know if Joce actually spotted it. I don't know if Todes actually spotted the SCV, but he's going to get within range of the supply depot. He sees the supply depot, he immediately turns around, but the SCV was coming down to construct the CC on the low ground, and so he sees that the Overlord was coming in from this direction, and because of that, immediately Joce knows where Zerg spawned, because in order for that Overlord to get to his base so incredibly quickly, he's going to know that that's the route that the Overlord took. It was the most direct route. It's the only way possible. It looks like this Overlord's actually going to survive, which is pretty cool. Fortunate for Todes, because he gets a suicide in that Overlord later on, but nice stutter step micro from Joce. And now that Joce knows where the Zerg placement is, yeah, he's canceled the already... Oh, I hope he did. Yeah. He canceled the queued up progression of the scout. He's actually going to be spinning it down to the bottom right hand side just to see what sort of shenanigans Todes is going to get up to. And he's got the spawning pool down. It was probably a 15 pool, but the timing for that, just given how large this map is, isn't as tight as some of the other maps, some of these smaller rush distances. It looks like the CC going on the low ground. Joce, he agrees with me that this is not going to be a hyper aggressive map. Wow, throwing down the third CC immediately thereafter. We are approaching the mark where if Todes wanted to do some sort of all-in or be very aggressive, he'd be able to. He's got his two bases up. He's not making motions like he wants to take a third. He's getting 4 queens total. He's going to be very aggressive with that creep spread. Could that mean that he's going to be aggressive? Maybe. We probably would have seen some gas being thrown down if he was going to be very aggressive, started working on that speed, maybe working on the tech of getting the banelings up in order to do a baneling bust. Doesn't really need to do a baneling bust to get in there and actually do damage to the natural, though. Natural has been secured for both players, barely starting up on that saturation back at home for Joce, but with that third CC, he's really going to be able to macro like a boss, grabbing up double gas. What he's going to throw down after this barracks finishes up with that Marine, probably he's going to get an add-on, maybe a factory right next to it, start working on that tech. Still no gas to speak of from Todes. He's got a lot of money, and he's sitting on it, probably going to be thinking about taking the third now that the creep spread is up and going. He can kind of sit back and relax and rely on his queens to hold off any aggression, and we can see a reactor is thrown down right next to the factory, so we probably will be seeing some Hellions sooner or later. Obviously, it could be Widow Mines, and in fact, this map is just chock full of chokes. Widow Mines are incredibly devastating, but so are Hellions, because Hellions are going to be able to kind of abuse the fact that Todes is kind of screwed on where he's doing his expansions. He could have elected to take a third here, but then he was going to be doing it towards his opponent, and so that sucks. But then this third is very far away by ground, considering, just the layout of everything. And again, it comes through a lot of chokes, meaning that the Hellions or the Widow Mines or whatever is really going to kind of squeeze into these narrow spaces and make it so Todes cannot get the surrounds on the enemy Terran units, making it so it's very difficult for Zerg to defend a third. This is a very difficult map to play macro style on Zerg, but once you can get up, once you can get to those 4 bases, it's really nice, because once all the creep has connected everything, you can really just dart back and forth and abuse the terrain for your own good. You just have to be very mindful of the fact that these chokes exist and are devastating to that Zergling surround. You really have to rely more on Banelings, make it so your roaches don't swarm into a place with a bunch of marauders. It's a very strategic map. I don't enjoy playing on it, but I love watching players on it. All the upgrades are going, oh my goodness, 1-1 with stim, no combat shield just yet. Don't know if Joce is intending on being super aggressive behind this. He doesn't have a large infrastructure to produce a hell of a lot of units, but he does have more than a handful of Hellions out on the field and is going to be making motions just to poke, just to see. Has Todes taken a third? Well, he has on the top right-hand side, but not down here where we would be exposed to this run-by. And this is where the terrain's actually going to be working in Todes' favor, because in order for these Hellions to try to run by these queens, they're going to be taking quite a lot of damage. And in fact, incorporating the double Evo chamber at the front, which is working on the 1-1, makes so these queens are even more resilient to these Hellions. Oh my goodness, those Hellions being incredibly ballsy, pushing so far forward on the creep, and they get caught by the speedlings. Oh, devastating loss for Joce. He was going to be relying on those to really just get good intel of what was going on inside Todes' base. And man, Spire going down immediately thereafter. We got the Baneling Nest coming out too. Todes is going to be ramping up for some major aggression now that this third has been secured and almost fully saturated. We can switch over 52 over 55 for the Harvester count, but that is 3 bases on 2. So he's feeling good. Probably going to be waiting for Joce to actually push out and try to take a third. He's got that orbital up, has had it up for quite a long time, but the upgrades are going to be ticking down. You've got 1-1 and Stim going to be finishing in just a couple of seconds. So yeah, I expect Todes is going to get out a single round of Mutalisks and be relying on that to carry him into the late game. It doesn't look like he's going for a Baneling bust, even though he is getting out those centrifugal hooks. The creep spread really is just setting him up nicely to take a 4-base economy, and with that early Spire, I think he's going to be relying more on harassment to win him this game rather than a direct all-in like the Baneling bust. But we'll keep an eye out on that. Yeah, +1 air. On the other side of the thing, Joce is being very defensive in and of himself. He's got a nice wall off. He's got a lot of Widow Mines, which are going to be devastating in these chokes. I cannot wait for that. And then those Marauders are really going to add a little bit of longevity to his ground force. They're going to be soaking up all the Baneling hits and really doing well in those chokes by being very resilient to the Zergling surrounds, which is really what Todes' style is going to be relying upon. He's going to be relying upon positioning, and wow, look at how far away that hatchery is from the main. It's all pretty much the opposite side of the map, and that's what, Todes, what choice does he have? Either he expands to the front door or he expands way far away. Now the Mutalisks are out. +1 is not even halfway done, but they're still going to be making motions like they want to be aggressive. Got to be mindful of the fact that those Widow Mines are going to be out on the field, and 1 or 2 lucky hits on them can absolutely crush the Mutalisk number. But I like this. He's only got 6 Mutalisks in this small little strike. He's not investing too much into it. Oh, I guess more than 6. Whatever. He's got like 10. Not investing the world into it. He's got a lot of Zerglings. He's getting up the Infestor Pit. He's still working on tech. Still working on the 2-2, which is nice. This is also nice. Burrow. Holy crap, that is a great upgrade. He's going to be able to burrow those Banelings and make his own Widow Mines, which we saw got a really nice strikeout. Look at how much damage was actually done to those Mutalisks. And those Mutalisks are trying to be cost effective, but still with the missile turret as well as the bunker. Oh, 2 missile turrets there. This is just too much of a defensive posture from Joce. I don't see how Todes could take out this base without investing quite a lot of his standing ground and opening himself up to some counter aggression. And Joce is going to get ready for some drops, I'm sure. He's got those Hellions, he's got those Medivacs. No blue frame upgrade just yet, unless I missed it. Nope, no I did not. But this ground force is very intimidating, especially considering the fact that those Hellions are going to do quite a lot of damage once they worm their way into a choke. So he's got to be very careful. I expect Joce is probably going to blow a scan to push back this creep. But we see the queens are in position at that choke. We see a lot of banelings on the way, and with that burrow, he can set up a devastating blow in this creep. Oh my goodness, there is no scan. Joce is pushing forward without blowing a scan at all. He's incredibly ballsy. There goes the scan. Oh, and he waited until he actually worked his way into the choke. Maybe he suspects that those baneling landmines are a thing. Here comes the wonderful surround. Oh my goodness, not wasting any of his banelings on the Marauders and the Hellions, which really pushed themselves to the forefront. He wanted to blow his AoE damage on those Marines, and that's exactly what he did. Todes waiting until he could get this around. Nice positioning there. I don't know if you noticed, he took out the destructible debris to open up that supplemental pathway, which is very, very nice use of this map. We have the Greater Spire coming up too, some Infestors, and will that be enough to hold back Joce now that he's chosen to be aggressive? He's kept alive pretty much all of his Mutalisks or medevacs during that initial strike, and his infrastructure is booming. I mean, he's got quite a lot of economy, and it looks like this is a very robust base that's just going to be defended very, very quickly. We can see Joce moving up his ground force from the south side, only losing one or two very minor structures. Not really a lot of economic damage done by Todes in that little strike, but he did manage to hold him back, and you know, that distracted Joce from being aggressive for more than a handful of seconds. Remember, Todes is spread so incredibly thin. The 5th base is going up. Any of these bases are just so delicate to a drop, and if Joce wanted to do a drop, if he could afford to do a drop, he'd be able to do so much damage. But Todes is being aggressive, constantly baiting and just whittling down his defenses, making it so that Joce can't push out and actually do the damage that would keep Todes in check. And as things are now, he's up on that Greater Spire. That means he's up on Hive Tech. And with that, we could maybe see some Ultralisks. Ultralisks aren't going to be the most cost-effective unit in the world for this. Oh, and here comes the scan. Yeah, he's blowing a scan now, pushing back that creep. Ultralisks not going to be the most cost-effective unit in the world because they're not going to be able to get those massive concaves and do a lot of the damage that with those Kaiser Blades, making it so they're as cost-effective as normal. I agree more with the Greater Spire. Going up on that air route means that those chokes matter less. And so it's a good decision. However, Joce is now totally maxed. Todes is running out of time. He's getting those Corruptors up now. He has that Greater Spire. So will they be Broodlords by the time this strike happens? I don't think so. Joce is doing a great job making it so that the creep is beginning to pull back. And speaking of pulling back, the Mutalisks coming in, taking out the SCV, taking out that 4th, forcing a cancel on that, and those Mutalisks forced to retreat as they are sandwiched between two very intimidating bio ball. Remember these, man, this is really intimidating. 3-3 is going to be finishing. We've got vehicle weapons so that the Hellions are a little bit more robust. They are pushing into the final little choke, but oh my goodness, the Broodlords are on their way. Just 4 of them right now. There goes a fungal growth right on all those units. This time the Banelings have to discharge the majority of their load on the Hellions Giggity. And we can see that the Banelings, man, there's just so many of those Banelings. But more importantly, the fungal growths are holding these units in that choke, making it so that the Marines can't push out underneath the Broodlords. And now that the Broodlords have finished morphing, they're pushing forward and being held in place by the Banelings. There goes a fungal growth, forcing the Banelings just to strike down on top of those Marines. But man, Joce he's still alive somehow. He's still alive with an intimidating force. And at the same time, he's securing his own 4th. But remember, that 4th is in a very forward position. So as Todes eventually cleans up the rest of these Marines, now he's got a strike force. He's got a handful of Broodlords. Only two of them survived, a 3rd being made right now. But more importantly, a lot of Zerglings, and these Zerglings are going to be able to sweep down here, take out this command center which is being constructed, and unfortunately is not already a planetary. If this was a planetary, this strike was going to go totally radically different. But even with this strike force moving in, doesn't look like they're going to clean that up. Oh my goodness, Blue Flame upgrade already done, just barely lifting off the command center. What a clutch play from Joce. Holy crap. And look at this. Look at this infrastructure. He's got a huge force once again. He's going to be able to push in there and do more damage. On the other side of things, 91 Harvesters for Joce, 77 for Todes. Both economies are absolutely monstrous. But what is Todes doing right now? What is he waiting for? More Corruptors, I guess. He's just making more Broodlords. That is his answer right now to this infrastructure that Joce has set up. And unfortunately for Joce, he's supply blocked. He's at 200 over 200. He's got 5 more Vikings going to be added into this mix, so about 10 of them, which is not going to be enough to shell down all of the Broodlords, especially when you factor in the fact that there's probably going to be a handful of Corruptors to also soak up some of that damage, and those brood lords are going to be shelling down a lot of damage on those Marines. So it's really going to come down to the positioning of the Marines. Can they get underneath those brood lords, and can the Hellions keep the Marines alive? Because Joce is very exposed right now. He's out on a world of creep in the middle of the map, just waiting to get surrounded. No, Mutalisks are kind of far afield too. Here comes the Broodlords. Oh my goodness, those Vikings just making mincemeat out of them. Where did those Corruptors go? Are they all... They're becoming Broodlords right now. At the same time, man, those Vikings just decimating all those tier 3 units. The Zerglings did nothing against the Hellions, and now Joce is going to be pushing in here, and it just made mincemeat out of Todes' tier 3 army. Holy crap, Joce is totally going to take this game. He's pushing off into the natural right now. He's going to be crushing the tech in that area, and if he can make his way up into the main, especially take out that hive, or maybe even just the greater spire, he can justify losing this entire ground force, because he is on 4 bases. That 4th base is totally saturated, and it looks like he's throwing down 2 extra command centers right next to his 3rd. And if Joce can make it up this ramp, make it into the choke, he can hold this main base pretty much indefinitely. Fangling Nest is going down. Hive will follow suit very, very shortly, and Todes, he's got a nice force, but oh wow, they make their way up the ramp. The Hellions going to be using quite a lot of damage with those blue flame upgrades, and look how fast those Zerglings just melt away from all those Hellions. The hive is still somehow alive, but it looks like another strike force is moving off just to do some more damage to the economy of Todes, and I think this is totally it. I mean, 190 over 80 supply. Todes is probably just sticking around in this game just to see if he can gain a little bit more of an understanding of what exactly he did wrong, because remember, this is a best of 3, and I've got the other 2 games that I'm going to cast immediately after this, and I am totally looking forward to that. So there goes the hive. Good game. Smiley face from Todes. So yeah, that's game 1. What could Todes do differently next time? Man, Joce is unstoppable once he gets that infrastructure up. You saw how he just continually lost army after army and immediately replenished it. I mean, Todes won a fight, immediately spent his Zerglings down to the 4th, and Joce was already there with Hellions and Marines and Marauders. His infrastructure is ridiculous if he can get it up there. I think maybe Todes could have invested a little bit more into those Mutalisks, making a little bit more out of the harassment. If he managed to stunt the economy of Joce, he can kind of snowball up into those tier 3 units and actually do just kind of land the killing blow in that area. I think if Joce can make it his way up to the perfect unit composition for him, I have absolutely no idea how Todes would stop him. That being said, you know, Todes did get up to those tier 3 units. He did engage very well and was very cost effective at the end. It was just Joce snowballing out of control that really won him the game. So yeah, we're going to see if there's any changes that Todes wants to do to his build order, and will Joce try to play a little bit more cat and mouse, because he really didn't use any of his drops. He only had 1 2-pronged attack. Everything was very cut and dry with him, and it worked incredibly well. Very intimidating, very intimidating. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to game number 2. I will see you guys there. I am Big and Scary. Bye.